with 4 awesome discoveries you probably didn't hear about this week.
This plant has pollen on a hair trigger. Researchers have found that the mountain laurel can send pollen flying at speeds up to 8 miles an hour, using 10 arms or filaments to catapult the pollen towards the center of the flower. The team says this explosive mechanism might be triggered only by larger visitors, mostly bumblebees it seems. Evidence the plant has adapted to target bees to enhance cross-pollination.
Virtual reality may make it easier to remember reality. In a memory study, 40 people viewed several famous faces in different locations around an imaginary physical location. Researchers compared participants' recall when using a virtual reality headset versus a desktop computer. The VR users performed nearly 9% better, for reals. This could open the door to more research on whether VR can improve education and training at all levels.
Many studies have tied each hemisphere of the brain to specific emotions. Happiness in the left, fear in the right. A new study says that's actually reversed for left-handers. It says the location of our neural system for emotion depends on whether we're right-handed, left-handed, or in between. So stimulate a righty's left hemisphere and you boost their positive emotions. Do the same to a lefty and The study suggests neural therapy, which stimulates the left side of the brain and reduces anxiety and depression in a right-handed person, will likely make a lefty feel worse. As a lefty, I'm not so right with that.
Making concrete. It's one of the largest contributors of carbon dioxide, a greenhouse gas, due largely to the main ingredient, cement. This new concrete replaces cement with a composite binder made mostly of fly ash, waste from coal-fired power plants. So, a win-win. Past attempts at this have been too expensive, but the researchers used a statistical method to refine the recipe, and it might work with other industrial waste as well.
And there you go. See you next week with 4 more awesome discoveries with funding from NSF.
We all love the beach in the summer, the sun, the sand, and the surf. But just because we're having fun doesn't mean we can forget about safety. Rip currents account for 80% of beach rescues and can be dangerous or deadly if you don't know what to do. It's simple stuff, but we can't take it for granted. Know before you go. Check local beach forecasts before you head to the beach, and always swim near lifeguards. Look for any warning signs or flags. If you're unsure about conditions, ask a lifeguard. And know how to swim before you venture in. If you do happen to be caught in a rip current, stay calm. It won't pull you under. It'll just pull you away from shore. If you try to fight the rip current and swim against it, you'll just get worn out. Instead, float. If you're a good swimmer, swim parallel to shore until you've cleared the pool of the rip current. Swim with the waves, allowing them to push you to shore. If you can, wave and yell to get the attention of lifeguards and people on shore to let them know you need help. If you're on shore and see someone in trouble in a rip current, do not go in after them. Instead, call for help. If a lifeguard is not available, throw in something that floats. But don't try to be a hero and make the rescue yourself. Even trained lifeguards only attempt a rescue using a flotation device. Rip currents can be dangerous, but if you know your options, survey your situation, and stay calm, you can stay safe and continue to have fun in the surf, sand, and sun.
Science and supplies rocket to the space station. New clues about an interstellar visitor. And updating the status of a flagship mission. A few of the stories to tell you about this week at NASA.
We have ignition and liftoff.
Almost 3 tons of supplies and science experiments are headed to the International Space Station on a SpaceX Dragon cargo craft. Launched on a Falcon 9 rocket from Florida on June 29th, the cargo ship is set to arrive at the orbital outpost early on July 2nd. One of the experiments launched on that mission will help scientists study how plants respond to changes in water availability. The EcoStress experiment will be installed on the space station to measure the temperature of plants from space as never before. Our Webb telescope is now targeting March of 2021 as a new launch date, after an independent review board completed its assessment of delays in integration and testing. NASA and the board unanimously agree that Webb can still achieve mission success, peering into other galaxies to see light from the very dawn of time.
We're creating something new here. We're dealing with cutting-edge technology to perform an unprecedented mission, and I know that our teams are working hard and will successfully overcome the challenges.
When it's not looking deep into the cosmos, Webb will turn its infrared eye toward the mysteries of our own solar system, including Jupiter's Great Red Spot. Building on data from Hubble and other observatories, Webb could shed new light on the enigmatic storm, including clues about what causes its iconic color. Astronomers now think the mysterious interstellar visitor named Oumuamua is behaving more like a tiny weird comet than a rocky asteroid. Data from Hubble and ground-based observatories confirm the object got a boost in speed and shift in trajectory as it passed through our inner solar system last year. This boost was not caused by the gravity from the Sun or planets as would be expected, but possibly from an unseen push from jets of gaseous material, like those that affect the motion of many comets in our solar system. Recent flight tests successfully demonstrated technology that could help quiet the aircraft noise heard around airports during landings. The flights at our Armstrong Flight Research Center in California saw a more than 70% reduction in airframe noise, caused by landing gear, wing flaps, and other non-engine parts. If you're a podcast fan, check out The Rocket Ranch from our Kennedy Space Center on Florida's Space Coast. Our newest podcast series will take you behind the scenes with the scientists, technicians, and engineers working to return humans to the moon and put boots on Mars. Learn more about all our podcasts at nasa.gov/podcasts. And that's what's up this week at NASA. For more on these and other stories, follow us on the web at nasa.gov/twan.
Remember, today we're talking about machine learning.
The machines are learning? What? Well, it's a good thing we're here at Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory, where we're surrounded by lots of really smart experts who can tell us a little bit more about what machine learning is and how it works. Let's go talk to them.
Hi, Barry. How you doing?
Hi, Maren. Nice to see you
Good
again.
to see you.
Right, okay, so what is machine learning? It's the name that we use to describe the field of study that is all about teaching machines to do tasks instead of having to program them explicitly. Let's take, for example, that you wanted to detect images of cats. Now, this is a recurring meme throughout the machine learning community. So detecting images of cats. So I'm giving you a set of images, and the challenge is to say whether there's a cat in this image or not. The traditional way of computer programming this would be to come up with a set of if-then-else statements.
So an if-then-else statement is like, if this image has whiskers, then it is a cat, or else it is a non-cat.
That's right.
Like that.
That's right.
Okay.
So you're saying, does it have whiskers? Does it have a tail? Does it have stripes? Is it furry? Does it purr? So you're bringing all this human intuition into designing those if statements. In the machine learning approach, we're going to provide the machine learning a whole bunch of images of cats and a whole bunch of images that are not cats. And the goal of the machine learning algorithm is to adequately separate the cats from the non-cats automatically, and it is able to automatically update those parameters to reduce its error in making these mistakes.
Oh, okay, so the machine is not only learning to identify what a cat is, but it's learning to reduce its percentage of times it misidentifies a cat.
That's correct. It's learning with examples. So the more examples that you can give it of cats in various background conditions, the more robust and the better able it's going to be able to discriminate cats from non-cats in all sorts of situations.
I know you mentioned that what we're doing here at the lab is not necessarily identifying cats. Some of the things that we're working on here are so much more complex, like maybe a molecular interaction. And so for a situation like that, it would be quite difficult for a human to input all of the potential combinations of things and say, and give the algorithm an if-then-else statement.
So we're applying machine learning across a wide variety of national science and national security applications. And so some of these will include things in the advanced manufacturing world. We're also using it in the National Ignition Facility to help us design interesting shop capsules that we would not necessarily have known how to design before. We're also using this in some of our cancer and drug discovery work, where we're using machine learning to assess or predict the probability that certain drug interactions are going to lead to better outcomes. And that way we accelerate the experimental stage. We don't have to run as many experiments if we know we're looking at high value areas, and that's what machine learning is helping us define.
Now that we've covered some of the basics, we're going to go talk to an expert in additive manufacturing, which is a fancy way of saying 3D printing. The engineers here who do that kind of thing work with novel materials like metals and plastics that we've created, and even biological material, printing parts for pretty much anything. Today we're going to learn how machine learning works in to all of that. Hi, Brian.
We have a lot of advanced manufacturing applications, and those include additive manufacturing or 3D printing, as well as another project in which we make small microcapsules, and inside these capsules we can do great things like capture CO2 from the air.
That's so cool. We talked about those last time in the algae video, the microcapsules that capture carbon from the air.
Exactly. We actually make them with not a 3D printing process, but through this microfluidic device where we make these little droplets. And we can make them at 1,000 times a second, but even then we can only make gram quantities. If we really want to extract CO2 from the air, we need to make them in kilogram quantities or even more. And when you have these large quantity or large requirements, you have to have a person watch the system. Their job is to sit and look in a microscope, and that's the state-of-the-art technique. Oftentimes they have to do other things like check email, go other places, and sometimes the system can be in a bad state for so long you have time and material waste.
Okay, so kind of like how Barry was saying that you could tell the algorithm what a cat is and what a cat isn't, and then it could learn to recognize cats. Right. This program has learned to recognize good and bad states of capsules.
Right. It says, we feed it a bunch of images that we call good, and then we feed it other separate sets of images that are 3 types of bad. And after we train the algorithm, it is capable of detecting new incoming images, and it can do so quite rapidly and without fatigue like a human might suffer. And after it makes some sort of decision about that, either the device continues operating as it is if it's in a good state, or it could trigger some type of response if it actually is deviating from where we want it, without the requirement for a human babysitting.
What about things that are being 3D printed? Could the same process be implemented?
Yeah, so what you can think of it as is the current, again, state of the art with 3D printers is you give the 3D printer a set of digital instructions and it follows them blindly. And when something erroneous can happen, it doesn't know that and it just continues on that path. So what we're developing at Livermore are the technologies to look at sensor data, and that could be images of the 3D printing process, it could be temperature sensors, pressure sensors, chemical sensors, a variety of different things to make a decision about the state of the system. And if it's going poorly, fix it. With the future of machine learning, the promise is there to have the algorithm come up with very useful conclusions at an early stage, which would inform the researchers what they need to be doing differently, or how they could optimize their process. And it's ultimately going to be an iterative loop here where machine learning is part of the process of advancing the state of science.
Surprise! We are now on our way into San Francisco. We are going to the city to talk to an expert about how machine learning can be applied to biological fields, cancer drug discovery, how Lawrence Livermore is involved, and you guys get to come with us. Hi, how are you? Good. Hi, good to see you. So Amanda, we're not at Lawrence Livermore National Lab today.
No.
Can you tell me where we are?
We're in Mission Bay in San Francisco at the headquarters of the ATOM Consortium.
City. Okay, and ATOM, that's A-T-O-M, right? What does that stand for?
Accelerating Therapeutic Opportunities in Medicine. We're trying to take the drug discovery pipeline, which is normally 6 to 7 years, and shrink it down to 1 year by using the power of big data and high-performance computing.
So what you're saying is that when companies are trying to develop medicine for things like cancer, it usually takes them about 6 years to do, does it work in the cells, human trials, is it safe, that kind of thing. It takes 6 years, which is a long time for a cancer drug.
What we're trying to do is take the terminated drug data from pharmaceutical companies. So they try out a lot of different drugs. The ones that end up on the market are one out of a huge number that they tried. What we're trying to do is take that data and create machine learning models that can learn from it. They learn about the structure of the molecules, and they are able to predict whether a given molecule is going to affect a target in the way that it's supposed to, and whether it's going to be safe for the rest of your body.
So obviously taking the drug development process down from 6 years to 1 would have huge implications for human health and for medicine and for cancer treatment, but what other kinds of effects would that have on the way that we treat cancer and the way we experiment around those drugs?
We're hoping if we can prove that these in silico models are effective at predicting safety outcomes, we can reduce the amount of animal testing that is needed to be done. And especially for safety, because the main thing that we're looking at in safety is how a drug would affect proteins that it's not supposed to affect, so things in your heart or your liver. And so that's general purpose, right? We always want our drugs to be safe, and most of the targets are the same. So whether it's cancer or another disease, it really doesn't matter. The safety aspect is pretty similar. And if we're able to predict that successfully, then there's no reason why we can't do that with other types of diseases as well.
Hello, Perry. Thank you for waiting.
Hey, welcome back.
We've been all around the Bay Area asking more really cool people about what machine learning is and how they're using it.
Yeah.
And I wanted to bring it back full circle to you, our original expert, to give us a little perspective on where you think machine learning is going and what the future of machine learning looks like.
So I think the big upshot is freeing us to think at a higher level, to basically automate those things that we would tend to pull our hairs and go crazy at. So in the future, with these machine learning algorithms, we can automate those mundane tasks and free the people to do, to reason at a higher level.
That makes sense. Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us, Barry. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely, anytime.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Machine learning is one heck of a cool tool that is probably not going to cause the technological apocalypse and is making our science even better, even faster, and more efficient. If you have any questions on this topic, please leave them down in the comments below and let us know if you want to see more videos like this and what you'd like us to cover in those videos. Thanks for watching, subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you next time.
The water looks ready for a swim, but there may be a danger awaiting those who enter. This potentially deadly force is the #1 safety threat at beaches. It's called a rip current. Rip currents are fast, powerful channels of water flowing away from the beach and out past the breaking waves. And before you realize it, you can get dragged out far from the shore. Rip currents can be really hard to spot, so exercise caution if you see the following. A channel of churning, choppy water. An area with a noticeable difference in color. A line of foam, seaweed, or debris moving steadily out to sea, and or a break in the incoming wave pattern. If you get caught in one, stay calm, don't fight the current. Swim sideways out of the current and parallel to the shore, then at an angle back to the shore. If you can't escape it, float or calmly tread water. The rip current will eventually fade. Try to face the shore, wave your arms, and yell for help. If you see someone caught in a rip current, do not try to rescue them yourself. Instead, get a lifeguard or call 911. Yell instructions, and if possible, throw a life preserver or flotation device. These things may help you save a life. The ocean can be a source of fun and excitement, but you should always be careful of the hazards that exist. Only swim at lifeguard-protected beaches. Before your next trip to the beach, know how to spot a rip current and how to break the grip of the rip. For more information on rip currents, go to the following sites.
The United States is an aging country. Today, there are more middle-aged people in the U.S. than children, and by 2060, there will be more elderly than young children. But the U.S. population didn't always look like this. Back in 1860, the country was quite young. If we divided it into age groups for men and women, and then stacked older groups on top of younger ones, we can visualize the age structure of the population. 1860 had a classic pyramid shape, large at the base where there were lots of children and young people, and narrow on top where fewer people survived into old age. As the decades passed, the U.S. population grew rapidly thanks to high fertility and immigration. It kept a pyramid shape with ever-growing bars at the bottom as more children were born, and shorter bars on top because of short lifespans. In 1930, that started to change. Fertility rates fell after the start of the Great Depression, and by 1940 we see a narrow base on the pyramid, a squeeze on the population that will carry forward through the decades. The drop in fertility reversed by the 1950s, however, and with the end of World War II, the U.S. experienced a baby boom alongside rapid economic growth. Even though the baby boom ended by 1970, it will continue to ripple through the population as the boomers age. Already by 1990, the population is aging, even before boomers reached middle age. At the bottom of the pyramid, we can see the young millennial generation, while at the top of the pyramid, there are more older women than men, as women tend to live longer. By 2020, the first decade of population projections, the pyramid has changed shape. We can see the baby boomers, now as older adults, and the millennial generation, which will have aged into adulthood by 2020. We can also see that the pyramid is lopsided at the oldest ages, with women outliving men. Because of longer life expectancies, women aged 85 and older will continue to outnumber older men. As people continue to live longer, the pyramid is projected to become top-heavy in the coming decades, so that finally, by 2060, there will be more elderly than young children in the United States. We project that people aged 80 and over will make up 8% of the population, while children 4 and younger will be just 5%. Gone are the pyramids of the 19th century, replaced by the pillars of an aging population.
Are you interested in starting a business? Creating a business plan is the most important step you can take towards success. Think of a business plan like a roadmap. It sets the direction for the early years of your business and outlines how you plan to make sales and grow revenues. A business plan generally includes 6 sections. They are an executive summary, a company overview, market research data, a description of your products or services, your marketing and sales approach, and your financial projections. Let's take a closer look at each section. An executive summary is the first section of your plan. Use it to introduce your business and identify your customers. Make a short but strong case that explains how you'll make your business successful. The next section is your company description. Provide a high-level explanation of your business, what it will do, and how it will make money. Include a mission statement and the location of your business. Identify key employees and any other qualities that make your business distinctive. Next up is your market research. Use this section to provide detailed information that shows you've done your homework and that you understand your industry and target market. Be sure to include an assessment of your competitors and any legal requirements impacting your company and industry. The fourth section is a description of your products or services. What are you selling? How will it meet the needs of your customers? What are its benefits compared to the competition? Answer these questions in detail, and be sure to note the current development stage of your business. Discuss marketing and sales in the 5th section of your plan. Explain how you'll identify potential customers. You'll also need to include your marketing approach. Provide financial projections in the final section of your business plan. This is important for investors and lenders because it explains how your business will meet its financial obligations and maintain a positive cash flow balance. Are you ready to get started? Build your customized business plan using SBA's free step-by-step tool. It'll help you navigate each section and enter your information. You can even save your plan and finish it later. Print, download, email, and update your plan anytime. Try out SBA's Build Your Business Plan tool at sba.gov/businessplan to get started today.